huge, heavy curtain. It had like a metal bar. Ridiculous.
Wow.
It was the funniest thing ever. We were trying to like put our heads under so you could see us. It was so stupid.
Yeah. Well, the music industry has always been, and we always talk about the music industry because it's you and I, dude. You know, we've been associated, but I know that in the day of people that had any idea about being entertainer, you had to play a couple of instruments, be able to dance, sing, you know. So it's these days it's a pretty easy thing. You learn guitar for a couple of years, you get a little band together, and you can go out and make a bit of money. I mean, it's and I'm 60 this year, and I've been playing since the early '80s. And I'm kind of struggling to make a living out of it at the moment, but I'm not too worried about it because nowadays I just play because I love it.
Yeah.
Just love it to death. And any chance to play at any time, because I've got this beautiful drum kit at home, I'll jump at it because, what else am I going to do? Sit home and watch My Kitchen Rules, mate.
It's really true, mate, because some people, my dad loves racing cars. Well, that's his hobby, and there's all those guys that do it.
Yeah.
They don't make any money. It's a hobby that they throw money at, So we're lucky to have a hobby.
Well, when you think about it, surfing's pretty much the same. It takes a long time before you get sponsorship. So all of the arts, really, it does take a while. And the trouble is with the early 80s when I joined a band, I just totally convinced I was going to be a rock star. There was never a question of it. And that passion and battling and doing the 6 nights a week for years and years, always in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, that's okay, I'll be able to buy a townhouse in...
Yeah. But, all right, question for you. Well, don't go for the easy answer.
Okay.
Question. I often think this. When we did gigs with Dragon too, as you've done a million times and know them well, yeah?
Yeah.
But I was in the 90s doing gigs when Dragon would come around, so they were past their prime, so to speak, and there were only 2 members left, original members. And I was kind of like sad for them, thinking the things they've seen, the crowds they've seen, and here we are at the St. George RSL down there in Sydney, and they're paying off a debt perhaps, or they're just doing what they love.
Yep.
What's better? To be where you are now and to always be chasing the carrot, or to have the carrot come and gone, and now it's kind of sad, miserable stories, Oh.
Well, I was lucky because I kind of always had, because I went to NIDA, and I always had that theatrical kind of wish too. So I gave up music in Sydney. I just thought that's enough. We'd done enough of pushing the proverbial shit uphill, really. Having a PA full-time and a road crew of 3 and living in band houses all our lives. It gets to the stage where you've really got to go, okay, guys, we can't keep beating a dead horse. Yeah. But the trouble is when you've been doing that for near on 15, 20 years... when the band folds, it's like the end of the whole family. And I sat there for a while going, what the hell am I good at? There's nothing. I don't have a trade. I didn't, apart from... so that's when I came to the Gold Coast and theatre restaurant, saw the ad, joined it. You happened to be there. And
which is kind of the next best thing. That theatre restaurant was so much fun.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said... I feel this way too, because I joined a cover band. I was probably exactly like you, I'd imagine. Original bands are cool.
Yeah.
Cover bands, dorks, that's how I thought of it when I was young. And you were 2 separate people, 2 completely separate musicians, right? And not to say that the cover band musicians aren't brilliant. They're probably much better when you really get into it. They've got to copy stuff. Anyway. God, what was I talking about? That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
When you did give it up, was it because your friends started to buy houses? That's what I did. I remember going, as I'm turning sort of mid-20s, 30s, the guys I sort of went to school with, you just catch up with them. What are you doing now? Oh, I've just bought my second house. Me and Stacey, got 12 kids and CEO of this. You go, whoa, I've got a Cono van and...
I look back on it now, I'm serious. People used to say that Sweet Poison were like a cross between Emerson, Lake and Palmer and the Sex Pistols. And the thing was that Howard wrote all the music. When I met him, he had 120 songs. So I was just there to be his drummer, and that's how it all developed. But we did things like going on big shows, television shows, talent shows, and Howard did Beirut by Night, which was, at the time, there was a big war in Beirut, and the lines went, it don't matter where you're from, just put on a uniform, have some fun in Lebanon tonight, right? But he's doing it as a theatrical, funny ha-ha, but everyone took it really seriously and thought, whoa, dude, he's singing about going over and having fun in Lebanon. and took it far too seriously. It's supposed to be whatever, Bowie used to do all that sort of stuff. And
yeah, and let me guess what you mean. You're the drummer in his product, and you realise that you're putting your entire life into the mouthpiece of that act,
Exactly
and you
right.
follow them, and you go, oh, I'm following you over the edge of a cliff. I really believed in you, but after a few years, you start to question what's missing. Why are some of our peers making it big?
Yeah,
that's what happened.
And because
us.
he was a highly lyrical sort of person. Most of the time he was bitching about something, he was protesting, which musicians are allowed to do. But I often thought that we missed so many opportunities because no one's likes being told that or likes someone having such a strong opinion on stage about world events.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Don't get him on Countdown, he might say something.
We had this song called The Alleyways, just to give you a brief thing of some of his lyrics. The sewers hiss like viper pits, the junkies glaze contorted bliss. A woman's kiss holds crimson bliss, they pulsate life like gills of fish. So he was very heavy with all that. You know, he came from that whole Dylan-esque writing big, and he started off as an acoustic player, very successful. So we put all that into an electric band, and to be together. So
it was genius at the same time.
Oh, to look great. And
but the industry has to like it.
They didn't like it. We weren't playing the game. They just didn't.
Yeah, that was kind of like us. And I got to a point like,
yeah.
Hey, what is this beautiful drum kit? Tell us. Come on.
Mine.
Yeah, some drumming nerd stuff. I love it.
I'm never really been a person to sort of go for types of drums because I've always just played whatever I had. So my drum kit isn't great. There's a lot of them. I've got 2 floors and 3 racks, and used to have rototoms and hi-hats and cymbals. But these days, all it means is back just kills me, especially. And nearly 60 and doing a drum solo in rock and roll, Led Zeppelin's rock and roll, is starting to... Wow. Sometimes the guitarist turns to me, and on drums, our drummer Scotty, and please don't. Can't we just forget about the drum solo tonight? And you've got to perform, you know what both you and I, we never not perform. You've got to have blisters and you've got to sweat the living crap out of yourself. Yeah. And seriously, it's the next day, if you were present at home after I'd done a gig, Andrew will tell you I'm walking around like a cripple going, oh my God.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
It's funny how time catches up with you.
I can't stand when I see good young kids just standing there in these bands. I go, come on, let them
do
out.
Something.
Just let some out. Let us know you love it.
Exactly.
Tell us where the accents are.
Yeah.
What are the best parts of the song? Highlight the best bits. Tell me what you love, just holding your bass or whatever that is.
Yeah,
you know, that's
absolutely.
what really drives me nuts.
And
there's an entertainer, there's a musician, and then there's the entertaining musician.
Oh. Exactly right. And that's the one thing I must admit about, I love frontmen. As a drummer, if you can rely on a frontman to take care of all of that stuff, it makes your job much better. And there's nothing worse. And in some bands I've done it because the rest of the crew are doing nothing. Not even saying hello to the audience. And it gets me some. So I've got, how you doing, people? Because that's your job. You've got to take people out of their shell. And Damo and Cloud9 was brilliant for that, you know. How you all doing? Yeah. We're going to party! And instantly you can see the whole mood of the audience change. I mean, it doesn't take much, but it's really important. Yeah,
I did see that happen. I saw Damo do it so well. There was probably, 200 people in a hall near...
Fabulous front, man.
Anyway, and he made everyone feel great. I'm getting goosebumps now because it was like this goosebumps moment. How do you feel? You know,
Yeah.
And even Mel, you know, lovely Mel on bass, she's just rocking this big smile and she's dancing. She's showing you she loves it.
Absolutely.
And that's what people go to see. They want to see someone. Oh, you're clearly entertaining. I want to show you a bit back by dancing and.
Yeah, and there are downsides to being so long in the business, and you. When I go out to see a live band, which I don't do a lot simply because I find it really hard when you've been in a band all your life to go and be part of the audience, because what you've got to do is deal with the fact that some of the audience members are probably a bit pissed and a bit yelbowish, and they always make a beeline for me because they think I'm gay, which I'm not. And but the thing is, there's confrontation. Whereas when you're on stage, if you wear eye makeup, if you dress up a little bit, you've got that excuse. They see you after the show and say, "Oh, you're the drummer," and there's an invitation. Yeah. But if you're just there as an audience member and you're standing there, they kind of go, "Yeah, he's this bloke. He's wearing some weird shit."
I know. I'm going to put my bourbon down and I'm going to have a chat.
Yeah, I might have a chat to him, mate.
I was actually, you're exactly right. I've always thought exactly what you've said, and I'm sure most musicians are. And by the way, people don't know that if you stand side of stage, how many times have you gone, oh, let's go see this band? I'm not standing there. I'm going to stand side of stage. And there's generally no one there. The crowd doesn't realise how awesome the side of stage is to watch a band. Like there's like 6 people standing around, you know. But I got freed of that whole thing just 3 weeks ago. A mate dragged me to a metal festival, a heavy metal festival, Soundwave in Brisbane. And inside me, I don't go out to those things. I'm the same as you. Been on millions of stages. I'm not interested in being a punter.
Yeah.
You know, standing around, seeing those guys famous and they're stupid, you know. But he dragged me to the middle of all these moshes and these metal things, and I felt so safe and so. It's like it was this dawning thing for me. I saw these bands for a different reason. I was right in the, and I was dead sober. That was actually the key thing. I'd actually, you know, was sober, seeing this stuff with all these kids, going, yeah, this is actually a lot of fun if you just relax and join in with them. And you know, that was a really good thing for me. It only happened 3 weeks ago.
No, you're right, and sometimes I've put on Facebook, gee, the live scene, everyone sort of complains about things. Well, why aren't you, I'm talking to myself now, why aren't you getting off your butt and going and seeing a band tonight instead of sitting here, you know? So I'm really trying to make that attempt, because I can't expect people to come to my gigs without me at least going and I love going out and seeing other people.
Yeah, me too, but
MMK in Brisbane.
I think it's a very I think it's a... We see a gig differently. We see small details that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't go and watch I used to race cars. I can't go and watch the car race. I see the officials and all this sort of weird other stuff. I can't just enjoy it for what it is, you know, really. And same with music. I can't enjoy, because I might be annoyed at the way the guy's holding his guitar in a certain way or something. The bass player could have tuned up
before the gig.
Yeah,
or whatever,
you know, like just
the singer could say something.
Yeah, stop it. So it was, How you feel?
Good.
Yeah. You like this podcast stuff?
It's great.
Well, and here's another reason why, is because you and I, when was the last time we've done this?
A long time ago.
In Surfers Paradise, in a unit, I think.
Yeah.
You know, actually found the time to sit down and find more stories.
And once, regardless of whatever happens, it's down. You know, so
that's what I always think. Like you know, you've got family that for the first time in history, our great kids will actually hear the thoughts and feelings of these two great people. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to hear the way and style that your ancestors spoke and what they thought? It might actually shape you as a person. Like, wow, he's a drummer? I didn't know that. And this is what he did. And the Surfers Paradise Hotel is still open. The beer gun's still open. Wow, you know, all that sort of cool. I think it's a real new thing.
Sure. And that big room down there that I've played there a few times with some big acts. What was that massive room on the coast that everyone went to? Playroom, a great venue, fantastic divinals. We did supports there, but that's the sort of venue, and it was just great to go and play. You know,
it was. That's been a hot topic lately, and I remember I've done loads of gigs there too, and I've seen lots of big gigs. But I also remember in its last years, and was it Beverly who ran the? Bev was the lady.
I think so.
She booked it and ran it by herself.
Wild person.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and real sort of, you know, newer stuff. But I remember the crowd stopped going there. It was, you know, it sort of became out of fashion or whatever in the 90s.
Yeah.
I remember its dying legs. And I even though we look back on it fondly, the story was that she would say that when the Angels or someone screaming Jets or whoever they were would come through, they charged $10,000.
Yeah.
She'd have to take the risk on the people. Sure, the people would come along, but then the very next weekend, it's the guys from Brisbane. And there's been no one there.
It's a big gamble.
Yeah, and it's a big room. Jeez, it was a good room.
And a lot of alcohol to supply if people aren't going to drink it, and food, etc., etc.
The upstairs band room. Yeah. Remember that?
Well, I was going to say before, I don't know about the 90s, but in the 80s, we were constantly on the road. I mean, the thing is, the agency would do run for you. So you'd ended up in Cairns, House on the Hill, you know, and you'd do the whole coast all the way up, Scott's Head. And in those days, every single place, Port Macquarie, blah, 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 they were great venues with already local audiences going out every night to see live music. So it was fantastic. And you'd finish the gig, pack up